on Independence Live on a Friday evening till 7 o'clock. You're listening to Indie Live Radio and you're watching us live on Independence Live. Tonight we are joined by Graham Duffy and Mr. Stevens himself from the David Martindale fan club. It's Reagan Stevens. And we'll be joined later, hopefully, by Barry Anderson, football writer of the Edinburgh Evening Times, Edinburgh News. Sorry, I get that completely mixed up there. But you know what to do. You can comment on anything that you hear, and just as I say, Barry Anderson comes on. Hi, Barry. How's it going?
Hi guys, you all right? Nice to see you all.
Not bad. It's been a while. Thanks for coming back on the show. If you want to comment on anything we're talking about tonight, or you can comment on the video below on YouTube Live or Facebook Live as well. And we're here till 7 o'clock. And also you can comment on Twitter as well. Just go to Locker Room Indie on Twitter and you'll find us on there. And drop us a wee message because we like nice messages on the show. No dirty jokes or that because it's a family show. Wait till we go over it and then tell it. No, I'm only kidding. Okay, so coming up on the show tonight, we'll look ahead to the football action this weekend. And we'll have a look at Team Scotland at the Commonwealth Games because they're doing well. And we'll speak about the European action this week. But first off, let's kick off boom with the big derby of the weekend then between the Hibs and Hearts taking place at Easter Road on Sunday at 12 o'clock. That's why Graham's got a big smile on his face, like a big Cheshire cat. And that's why we've got Barry Anderson on as well, because he works at the Edinburgh Evening News as well to speak about the game. So first up, before we dive into the game at the weekend, I just want your thoughts, guys, on the draw for Hearts and the playoff round in Europe. Graham?
I'm relatively happy with that. Linfield or Zurich, it's looking like Zurich. They won 2-0 last night, so it is looking like it's going to be Zurich. I'm more than happy. Worse. I like the fact the guy who was absolutely dreadful at Hearts signed for Zurich last week. What's the chance he can knock us out of Europe? But you know, they're the Swiss champions, but they've had a really poor start to their domestic campaign so far. They've played 3 games and they've only drawn 1 and lost 2. So they're a bit of a disappointing start, but I think it's a decent enough draw for Hearts, and I'm glad the first game's away. So then we know what we've got to do when it gets to Tynecastle. Obviously, I watched the Hearts game last week, and I was happy with the win, but the first half we were very poor. I didn't think the formation really worked. I thought Michael Smith and Pete Haring in midfield was just an absolute recipe for disaster. But second half we changed it and we were a lot better. So I'm quite pleased with the draw, and hopefully we can get through it. But it will be difficult because they are a decent side. But I'm relatively happy with it.
Barry, what's your thoughts on the game? Obviously, you'll be covering the both legs for the paper. I take it it's good. It's just good to see a team outside the top 2 being in European football.
Yeah, I think so. I think for Scottish football in general, we want as many of our teams to do well as we can. We've all watched Celtic and Rangers in recent years kind of flying the flag on their own at times. And while they've done a good job, Rangers in particular, I think we want more from our other teams. And that's Hearts. Motherwell already out. Dundee United had a great result last night with a fine goal into the bargain. So Hearts are already guaranteed group stage football either way, no matter what happens in this playoff round. It'd be brilliant if you could end up with Dundee United in there as well in the Conference League groups, and have 4 teams potentially. And if Rangers can if Rangers can overturn their deficit, albeit they've got a parachute down into the Europa League if they need it. So we could potentially, we have 3, maybe even 4 teams, looking at in the group stages. I know that's ambitious, and I'm sure there'll be some teams that'll trip me up there, but I think we have to aim high, and it's high time that our league got a little bit more profile in the European stage, I think.
Regan, we'll speak about Dundee United a wee bit later on in the show. Brilliant result last night is Ballythig, and brilliant goal by Glenn Miggleton as well.
Yeah.
But let's stick with the Hearts game first and foremost. European football for Hearts, it was a brilliant achievement last season.
Yeah, because I know Barry will know this from being involved with Hearts, but I think, especially going up to the top flight, I don't think the ambition was straight away to get that third spot. So, and I think Robbie Nielsen has proved some of the people that doubted him wrong, because I think he's done a great job so far, and I think they've done some great business during the transfer window with Shankland in particular.
Sorry, Michael. I was going to say, what I will say is I've heard the last couple of days, I listened to quite a lot of Hearts podcasts, and there was one that had Joe Savage on it. I think he's brilliant. I really do. I think we're very lucky to have him as sporting director. He's very ambitious. He always comes across really well. It was talked about the fact that, he wants Hearts to be up their chance for the title, which, I think is great as a Hearts fan. That's what I want to hear.
Yes,
it will be hard. I know.
No
yes, it will be hard, but I like that ambition that he's got. And I think it's great, for any potential player that wants to come to Hearts. We can offer them European football. We can offer them the chance to, potentially challenge. Maybe not win the league, but at least we can challenge. And I think having a guy like Joe Savage at the club has been absolutely fantastic. With all the business we've done the last couple of seasons, I think Savage is the best bit of business we've done, because I think it's brilliant.
I was going to ask you, Graham, see in terms of Hearts, I see they're looking at bringing in a guy from Asia. What do you make of that, them going down that market again?
I've said this before on this show. I think that's the market we should go down. If you look at what Celtic have done with the Japanese league, and I think it's a great league to go through, and I like Hearts to do that. I know we were linked a while ago with another Japanese guy. I can't remember his name. I don't know if that's been kind of dead in the water, but looking at this guy's stats, I think he looks a decent player. I'll be honest, a couple of days ago, I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but seemingly we are maybe looking at maybe trying to get him on in January, which I think will be a great signing, because I think Hearts are lacking another forward. Yes, we've got Boyce, we've got Shankland, we've got Ewan Henderson. I like Henderson, but I'm not sure that he's going to step up to the Premier League. So I think we need another striker in there to help Shankland and Boyce. I also think we are lacking a little bit centre back as well. And I think midfield, I think we're looking at Jacob Davenport, who's on trial just now. So I like the business we're doing. And if we can just get a few more bodies in, because European football on a Thursday night, games on a Sunday, we've got a lot of games to play. And I've said this as well, the one thing that really worries me as well is the fact that if Craig Gordon is out for any reason, I don't think Ross Stewart's a good enough backup.
No.
I've seen him a few times and I don't rate him. I think he's very poor.
Totally agree with you, Graham.
So that's a bit of a worry for me. If Craig Gordon misses any game for any reason, I don't think we've got a good enough backup. Harry Stone, again, I think is a really good goalkeeper, but whether he can make the step up yet, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Because I wanted to ask Barry as well, do you think the fact that I've seen a stat that Craig Gordon faced the most shots last year, so that just shows the fragile nature of the defending from Hearts, and the fact that Craig Gordon saved them in so many situations. Do you think the fact that they've lost such a key player in John Suter might affect them?
Yeah, I think it will. I think that's unavoidable, because you take Suter out of any team and they're definitely weaker, and you don't replace them like for like either. With the greatest of respect to Lewis Nielsen or even Toby Sibbick, who's been playing right-sided centre-back for Hearts in the last few games. They're not at the same level as John Suter, and nor would you expect them to be. On the other side, you get Stephen Kingsley missing at the moment, so out of the defence, the three-man defence from last year, 2 of them are missing. So that's definitely going to have an impact, I think, for Hearts this season. Going back to your point on Gordon, I mean, what more can you say about the guy? He just kind of continually keeps pulling off saves and, leaving us generally just flabbergasted with some of his antics in the goal. I think if he can keep going for Hearts this season, throughout this season, and play in most of the games, then I think it's a great achievement for him. And I think it's important for Hearts that he does that. Whether they need another number 2, you have to leave that with Joe Savage and Robbie Nielsen to decide. At the moment, they've said they're happy going with Ross Stewart and Harry Stone. But it's a big demand on Craig Gordon. Certainly, even the amount of games that he'll have just between now and the winter break, when the World Cup starts, you're looking at 30 odd games. It's a tremendous amount if you include the internationals as well.
Yeah.
Barry, sorry, Michael. I was just going to say, Barry, how big a deal do you think it was that obviously Robbie Savage, Jig, and Gordon Forrest obviously signed new deals not long ago? Now we've got a bit of stability at the club as well.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's that word there, Graham, that you used, is stability. That's the key point for it, because we all know Hearts have changed managers quite a lot in recent years since Robbie left the first time. And the coaching team there, they just all sort of fit together, particularly with the director of football above them. So the kind of bureaucratic stuff, if you like, and the transfer stuff is dealt with above them, and they can focus more on the coaching side. They obviously clearly have a rapport and are friends away from the football. As having been at Dundee United before, they have that kind of understanding. And I still hear little murmurs here and there, Hearts fans complaining about Robbie Nielsen and different things that they want him to do or that he's not doing, or players that they want him to sign, or formations they want him to use. I think every club's got an issue with their manager one way or another. No matter what he's doing, he can be winning the Champions League and somebody will still be complaining about something. But generally, I can't think of a time since I've been covering Hearts, and you're talking, best part of 20 years now. I can't think of a time when they've had it better than they've got it right now. And I say that even with 2000. Sorry,
I'd say probably the only time is when George Burley was in charge, when they thought they were probably going to win the title that season, remember?
That's right. And they finished second that year and qualified for the Champions League. But there was no group stages. They didn't get to the group stages. They got knocked out of the Champions League in the qualifiers by AEK Athens, and then they ended up in the UEFA Cup and got knocked out in the first round by Sparta Prague. So they didn't get to any group stages. This season, they're guaranteed to play in the groups. So between now and November, I can't think of a better time to be a Hearts fan, generally.
I suppose before we go on to speak about the game on Sunday, Barry, I just wanted to take you back there to the guys by asking you about Craig Gordon. How crucial would he be to the team with his experience by playing for Scotland in European won European Championships, but European international football for years, but also Celtic in the Champions League during the year. So how crucial will his experience be to the Hearts team going into this tie in Europe in a few weeks?
Yeah, I think over all the European games, he'll be really important, Michael. It's a good point to make, because in that Hearts squad, there's Craig Gordon and there's Andy Halliday, who've got European experience, and not really anyone else that jumps out at me. To a lesser extent, Liam Boyce, I think, played for Cliftonville in Europe way back earlier in his career. But it's a Hearts squad that is largely bereft of European experience. So the guys who do have it, and the guys who do understand what it's like to be, away abroad, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, not getting back to the early hours of the morning, having to recover, get back in training, the routine of it, the demands of it are very different to what you experience if you only play domestic football. So, yeah, Craig and Andy and them are going to be extremely important from that point of view.
Barry, can I just ask you about one of Hearts signings? And for me, I think we've signed a lot of good players, but for me, Lawrence Shankland is the one that I wanted. I think we have missed a natural finisher for a long time. I'm a big fan of Liam Boyce. I like Kyle Lafferty. I like Gennaro Zifuk. I like Osman Sow. But for me, we have lacked a real penalty box striker. And I think Lawrence Shankland is the ideal player for us.
Yeah, I can totally understand that viewpoint, Graham, because, as you know, a lot of people over the summer were really keen for Hearts to get Ellis Sims back. And again, why not? He had a fabulous time up here in the second half of last season on loan. But
yeah,
Shankland is is your penalty box striker. He's your finisher in the 18-yard area. Sims linked play. He was very quick, but if I had one criticism of Sims, and he's a very young player, so he's got time to improve on this. When he was put through one-on-one with a goalkeeper, he didn't often hit the net. There were saves, there were shots off target. He wasn't as clinical as Shanklin has been, at least up until now, and promises to be in the future. So yeah, I think Shanklin's really important to finish off a lot of the chances that Hearts create. Guys like Barry Mackay and they've signed Alan Forrest as well, so you're going to get goals and assists from him as well. You'll get cross balls into the box. You've got wing backs that will put balls in. Alex Cochrane got 2 assists last week in the first league game, so you need Shanklin in there to help finish these things off.
I mean, obviously they've signed a guy from Peterborough as well that I quite like. I've managed to see him quite a bit down in the Championship. Do you see him featuring quite a bit then?
I hope so, because I enjoy watching him play in the matches I've seen so far, pre-season games, and last week when he came on against Ross County, I would probably say he kind of turned the game in Hearts' favour in that second half. Just a guy who likes to get on the ball, comfortable on the ball, knows how to use the ball, can see passes, can execute them quickly, makes quick decisions in centre midfield, and fairly. I mean, he's not a ball-winning midfielder, but George Grant can put himself about. So
yeah, George Grant's a good player.
Yeah, I think it is a good signing there, and I think whether he'll start on Sunday, I'm not sure, but I think it would be to Hearts' advantage if he did start. Put it that way.
Barry, do you think that? Sorry, Michael, just got to say, do you think, Barry, by the end of this transfer window, Hearts will have another couple of players in, maybe?
Yeah, I would expect another 2, maybe 3, but certainly 2. I think they certainly want another attack-minded player, as you've seen with the move for Lee Seung-woo. And you're looking at Jacob Davenport as a possibility for centre midfield. He's trained in there this week, so we'll need to wait and see what the decision is there. And after that, potentially another right-sided centre-back.
I wasn't at the Robbie's press conference today. I'm just reading his notes from the presser today, and obviously you would be at the press conference today, Barry. But apparently he was saying that it doesn't matter if this is the first derby, the last derby, the fifth derby of the season, you've still got to win the game. And I suppose it's true. I know it's very early on in the season, but it's the second game into the season, and you want to beat your nearest rival, especially in their own back door.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both teams obviously got off to a decent start last week. I think it's easy from Hearts' perspective to look back at Hibs, the Premier Sports Cup campaign and how that ended and the debacle that went on there. It's easy to look at that and say, oh, we should just turn up and win 2-0, 3-0 here and it should be straightforward. It won't be. It never is at Easter Road for Hearts. And I think Hibs have made quite a lot of changes to their team. They've signed quite a number of new players who will obviously take time to bed in. But Lee Johnson, they have a manager who'll get the ball down and play. He'll sign players who want to get on the ball and play. And I think that'll appeal to the Hibs fans. They won't just be shelling balls into channels and giving up possession easily. They'll want to be keeping hold of it. And that'll make it difficult for Hearts, I think, on Sunday to try and just get the ball themselves, get their foot on it and actually try and dictate anything. That they'll find that part of it difficult. So I think it'll be a really close game overall.
From a Hibs point of view, how big a blow was it to lose Egan McGeady last week in training, and he's out for the next few months as well? How big a blow will that be to the Hibs team, but also to the Hibs fans as well?
Yeah, I think McGeady was obviously signed. You could argue that was probably the marquee signing for Hibs of the summer, with the intent of, just what I'm talking about there, with the intent of getting on the ball and making things happen and exciting supporters. And McGeady has done that for years in Scotland and England. So, it's a huge blow for them because he would have been integral to what Lee Johnson wanted to do this season. I think there's another couple of players that they've signed. I like the lad Tavares. I think he's got something to offer. And I think Lee Johnson will have a very clear idea of how he wants to play. He's watched Scottish football for years. He's got Jamie McAllister there who played in Scotland for years as well. So there's plenty of experience and what to expect.
Sorry, Barry, I just wanted to ask you a question, right? Because that's a wee side note to the derby. Obviously, Johnson played at Tynecastle as a player.
Yep.
Do you think that potentially doesn't go in his favour? Because I don't know how it would go for the fans, because obviously we'd say now he's totally in favour of the green side of Edinburgh, but do you think it'll play on the fans' mind if it gets off to a bad start and say they lose 4 or 5-0? Do you think they could turn on them pretty quickly?
I hope so.
I wouldn't have thought so. I think because he spent such a short time at Hearts, he was only here 5 months in total. I can't. It's not like he's a Hearts. He's really affiliated with Hearts that much. I don't know how many appearances he made. I'd have to double check, but it wasn't a lot. So he's not. I don't think the Hibs fans would see him as a stereotypical Hearts man, if you want to call him that. I'm sure there's one or two that maybe would want to beat him with that stick if things go badly. No, I don't see it having too much of an issue. I think he's a Hibs manager, and he's a professional guy. He's a good coach and a good manager, and I think if he's given time, and if he gets the players in that he wants, I think he'll do well for Hibs.
I was going to ask you, in terms of Lee, have you managed to interview Lee or speak to Lee at the press conferences?
No, I haven't. I mean, I have interviewed Lee before, but I interviewed him when he was at Hearts a couple of times, and I interviewed him a couple of times when he was down south after that. But not since he came to Hibs. No, I haven't crossed paths with him at all.
I'm just going to say, what do you make of him? Do you think he'll suit Hibs, or what do you think? Because obviously he had short spells at Bristol City and Sunderland as well. So
yeah, I think why it's probably a good fit for him at Hibs is the supporters. The Hibs supporters like a certain style of play. Traditionally, they like the attack side of the game. They like the ball wide. They like wingers attacking fullbacks. They like balls into the box. They like midfielders who'll get on it and show a bit of creativity and skill. And that's what Lee Johnson likes from watching some of his teams down south. That's what he likes to try and implement. Now, it's easier to say that than do it in the Scottish Premiership because so many other factors. There's physical teams, and there's big brute centre halves, and there's teams that will just stifle games and not give you space, all the rest of it. But that's a challenge that you accept as a manager.
I just wanted to ask you, obviously, do you think Michael was talking there about the star player not playing? Do you think that's escalated bringing back Martin Boyle, supposedly?
I don't know if it's accelerated it any or not. I couldn't honestly say. What I would say about Martin Boyle is that if you get a chance to sign a player like Martin Boyle, you take it, no matter whether you're Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen. I think even Celtic and Rangers would be interested if they had an opportunity. Yeah. He's just such an effective player, a player that I really like. So from what I understand, that they are trying to get him back at the moment. I think he's open to that prospect. The contract issue with his current club is pretty. It's not easy to solve, but I think Hibs are pushing to get it solved and try to get him back out of there and home to Easter Road.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to ask this question. I'm not going to ask this question directly to Graham Brett because I know what his answer will be. So I'm going to ask you, Barry, as a professional journalist, a bit like me. So even though I was saying to you this is the second game in of the season, what is this a big game for Hibs? Because looking back, Hibs has not beaten Hearts since 2019.
Yeah, I think since then 4 Hearts wins and 2 draws.
Yep.
As the statistics behind it. So yeah, you could argue it's maybe a slightly bigger game in that context for Hibs than it is Hearts, but Hearts will tell you it's just as big a game for them. I think it's probably pretty equal. They both won last week, so they're both on 3 points. They both want to win the first derby of the season, as you would anyway, but particularly with a chance to put a little gap between your team and the other team. So yeah, I think motivation will be pretty equal across the board. There'll be a clear. I think for Hibs, it's probably about getting all the new guys on board and up to speed on what a derby means and what a derby involves and how to cope when it's 100 miles an hour round about you and people are kicking lumps at you and there's balls getting shelled back and forward over your head. How to deal with that? Hearts have got a few new signings of their own, but most of them, I think 4 or 5 of them have played at Easter Road already, so they have a little bit of experience at Easter Road, albeit not in a derby. So if getting the new guys up to speed, getting the new guys comfortable with what they're going to experience on Sunday is probably the challenge.
Do you know, Barry, if I haven't actually read anything yet, but do you know if like Stephen Kingsley and Cammy Devlin and that are fit for Sunday at all?
Devlin's fit. Kingsley trained today, and they'll make a late decision on him. He's still a doubt, put it that way, quite a big doubt. But they'll give him every opportunity to try and make it, obviously, because he's such an important part of what they want to do.
Barry, I wanted to ask you in terms of Lee Johnson, right? Because do you think it's important that the ownership of Hibs, they give him proper time? Because I think, as we've seen last night, Jack Ross, a very capable manager, his team went on to beat AZ Alkmaar, and Ron Gordon in the past has sacked managers very quickly, and it's not paid off. And I think now is the proper time to give Lee Johnson a proper crack and see what he can do. Because if you look at Jack Ross, I think Jack Ross has showed just what a fantastic manager he is.
Yeah, I've always liked Jack as a coach and a manager, and I think the Dundee United job suits him pretty well. You can see he's got these players responding to his ideas. You saw that last night. In terms of Hibs, I think if you bring a manager in and you back him, you have to give him time at any club. And there's too many owners and chairmen out there who are just a little bit too trigger happy when things aren't well. I think it's a results-driven business. We get that. And if results aren't going for Hibs, Lee Johnson's going to be under pressure, the same way Robbie Nielsen would, the same way any other manager would. But I think they've obviously spent a bit of time looking into what manager they wanted to get to replace Sean Maloney. And Johnson's the man they've gone for. He's got a track record in England. He did fairly well, but he did very well with Bristol City in particular. And he's got a style of play that I think it would appeal to the Hibs fans. So, yeah, I do hope that they give him time. But, I mean, if he loses 5 out of the next 6 games, you know what the reaction is going to be the same way I do.
Yeah. So what is the expectation for this season? Because obviously they didn't get top 6 last year. They got beat by their nearest rivals in the cup. So is it as simple as getting top 6 and trying getting the big players to shine on the park in the cup competitions? Because obviously you spoke there, Barry, about the Premier Sports Cup. Oh, and obviously it didn't go to plan. So is it a big chance for the fans of that club not to go back to the national stadium?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the Premier Sports Cup's gone now, so I think you have to, from Hibs' point of view, you have to put that out of your mind and you have to look at it almost in as positive a light as you can. So you say, right, for the next few months, we've got league football only. We're not involved in Europe, and the Scottish Cup doesn't start till January. So from now until the winter break, you've got league games, and you focus on your league games, and you try and get yourself as many points as you can, and see where you are come the winter break, mid-November. If you get to that point and you're in and around the top 6, I think that's clearly an improvement. Come the split, you want to be in that top 6, and therefore after the split, you try and push for a European place after that.
But Barry, obviously, I knew Nisbet got a bad injury second part of last season. Is there any chance that he could get back up to speed pretty soon, or what's the situation with him?
I haven't heard. I don't have an update on exactly where he is at the moment, but I think Hibs certainly miss him. An international striker, obviously, no team in Scotland can do without a player of his quality. I think what he gives Hibs is probably similar to what Shankland brings to Hearts, is that instinct. in and around the penalty area. He's a finisher who can sniff out a chance and can finish a chance when it comes along. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him back.
Yeah,
And just before you go, Barry, I've got to ask you this question: How big a loss is it for Tynecastle to lose the voice of Hearts, Scott Wilson, and buying in a Bosman? You would say the voice of Hampden Park.
Yeah, it's a little surreal being at Tynecastle these days, and Scott's voice isn't there, and I think, and you get used to just certain grounds have certain things that are synonymous with them. Certain noises, certain acoustics, certain sights that you just get used to, but you don't even think about it, and then all of a sudden, obviously, Scott's not there, and you have to get used to it. But the new guys do, they're certainly very experienced. They've obviously covered the Scotland games for years and done an excellent job there. And it's just a little. Scott was kind of floating around at the Stoke City game, just in the press area, almost right in front of where he sat. So he was kind of standing quite near to me. And he's just the exact same, although he's not on the microphone. He's still kicking every ball and cheering everything that happens and questioning every referee, questioning anything like that. He's not losing any Hearts passion, I don't think, just because he's changed his role a little bit.
I want to ask you as well before we let you go, Barry. How big is it for Scottish football for likes of Hearts and Hibs, Hibs and Hearts, before anybody gets annoyed at who I'm mentioning first there? Because I know they're like that in Glasgow sometimes with Celtic and Rangers, or Rangers or Celtic. How big is it for the Edinburgh Derby to be back on Sky TV to advertise Scottish football?
It is. It's tremendous. It's a derby that out with Edinburgh, a lot of people, I suppose, particularly in Glasgow, they'll look at the Edinburgh Derby as being a little bit less significant than the Celtic Rangers Derby, and it's certainly not the case if you live in the East. It clearly means everything to everybody. I think that one of the big factors is the fact that there's still a full stand of away fans at these matches at both Tynecastle and Easter Road, and long may that continue, because it just, that's what creates the atmosphere. And you see, if you watch a Celtic Rangers game, you see that they really miss not having so many away fans in the grounds, because you can have as many home fans as you want. It's the away fans that create that kind of just the rivalry, the hostility, the noise a lot of the time. And that's one of the things I really like about the Hibs Hearts games. And so having that live on TV is terrific, and hopefully there's a good audience, not just in Scotland but down south as well, and they see a good game.
Okay, well, so thanks Barry for joining us tonight on the show. It's been brilliant having you on, and we'll probably get you back on after the Hearts first European game, and hopefully they will do well.
No problem. Hope so. Thanks very much, guys. Wish you all the best. Enjoy the season.
Barry. Cheers.
Okay, thank you.
And that was Barry Anderson, the football writer for the Edinburgh News, give us a wee insight into what life is like without Mr. Wilson at Tynecastle. But I'm sure Graham will do a good job at Tynecastle. Not you, Graham Duffy, believe it or not, there's somebody else called Graham, and he's just happened to be a Hearts fan as well. So, that's a big game out on Sunday, Hearts and Hibs. And don't forget, talking about Sunday, we'll be on Sunday for our first show between 3 and 5 on Indie Live Radio on Independence Live. We'll be getting reaction from the game. We'll be maybe picking Graham off the season or whatever, depends on the score. And we'll be joined by Dave on Sunday as well. He'll be reporting on the actual game on Sunday. So that's, get in your diary, between 3 and 5 o'clock as well. Just come back before we speak about the Rangers game. It seemed like ages ago because it was Tuesday night, that game. Speak about Dundee United last night, Graham. How impressed were you by Dundee United?
I thought they were brilliant. First of all, I thought the atmosphere at Tannadice looked and sounded fantastic. And, you know, these European nights at Tannadice, I know United fans used to love that years and years ago, and it was great to see it back. And I thought, to be honest, I didn't really give United a lot of chance, but I thought they were brilliant. You know, they played with a lot of intensity, a lot of purpose, and they've really got after AZ Alkmaar. I said in a group chat last night, I thought Dylan Levitt was the best player on the pitch. You know, his composure, his range of passing, and just his energy was outstanding. I know that I think on TV they gave man of the match to Stephen Fletcher, and I thought Fletcher led the line really well. I think that's a really good signing for United. You know, plenty of experience, he can hold the ball up, and I thought he played well last night, but Dylan Levitt was excellent, and just all round. And the goal as well, it's a great finish by Glenn Middleton. You know, he's capable of that. It's a really good goal. And I think the only disappointment for United is they didn't maybe score another goal, just to take another couple of goals advantage over to Holland. But listen, it's a brilliant, brilliant victory, and they've got a really good chance now. I think it'll be tough over there, but they're giving themselves something to hold on to or something to build on. But I think United, I have to say, I know it's only one game, but I was really impressed with them last night. I thought they played really, really well.
Regan, some goal from Glenn Middleton, and I was thinking about it after the game. Rangers might be a bit disappointed how he's left Rangers, because it was a cracking goal he scored.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great goal. I mean, he done well 2 years ago when St Johnstone won the two cups.
Yeah.
So I think he's obviously shown he's a great player, but in terms of Dundee United last night, I thought it was brilliant. See that stadium full and stuff. I just hope that, I don't know what you think and Graham thinks, but I'm just hoping that they can hopefully draw in a big crowd for Sunday's game against Livingston, because see if they can do that at a European night. They should try and bring that in for the SPFL, because it would spur the players on. I mean, it was James McFadden last night basically said that he could tell the players were spurred on by it. So surely they could take that into Sunday's game.
Yeah, no, definitely. It would be like enough. I think the atmosphere might be slightly different on Sunday, because like you're coming down from a high, but it's going to be a difficult game for Livingston on Sunday, Graham, against Livingston.
Yeah, 100%. Again, I think someone I didn't mention was Jamie McGrath. You know, he came off. That's a really good signing as well for United. So I think you've got to say Jack Ross has signed very well so far. And I would imagine by the time the window shuts at the end of August, I think they'll probably have another few more players in. But I'm really impressed. They look a very vibrant side, and they've got the experience of Charlie McGrew at the back as well. The goalkeeper looks very, very good. I know he didn't have a lot to do last night, but what he did, he dealt with really well. So I think they've got a very, very good side there. And I think I said last week I had United in my top 4, top 6 anyway, but I think they'll do very well. Yeah, Sunday will be a difficult game Sunday, but I think United, looking like they played last night, I think they'll fancy that.
I need to say, Graham, I thought Tony Watt was great. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, I think him and Stephen Fletcher could be a really good fall for each other. I think Watt's work rate last night was excellent, but the whole United work rate was brilliant last night. I was really impressed with how they played. You know, right for the start, they never gave Alkmaar any time in the ball. They pressed, they harried, and they just looked very impressive. But as I say, the only disappointment will be they haven't maybe added another goal, because I think they deserved it. I think they deserved it the way they played.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, Dundee United coped very well in the first half, but again, I think they coped very well in the second half as well, Graham.
Yeah, they did. You know, anything Alkmaar threw at them, they defended very well. They were throwing bodies in the way, and they looked creative. You know, I think I said earlier that one of the best innings they could have made, I think, was Dylan Levitt. I know Hearts were looking at him. I'd have loved to have got Dylan Levitt. I think he's a very, very good player, and I thought he was a class apart last night. He really was. But just the atmosphere last night, watching that at Tannadice, was so good to see like a full Tannadice stadium, because, you know, everyone knows that European nights, whether it's Tynecastle, Easter, well, maybe not Easter Road because they don't know about Europe, but Tynecastle, Parkhead, Ibrox, you know, European nights are really special, and it showed last night. And I think, you know, a lot of folk were talking about Jack Ross after they were sacked by Hibs and where would they go now. I think sometimes you get managers who just fit a certain club, and I think at the moment Jack Ross for me looks like he fits United perfectly.
See, Michael, I don't know your schedule for the show, mate. But what I will say is, obviously last night was a great crowd there. But see, for this weekend, I think the prices are a disgrace. 30,
Yeah, yeah.
£31 to go and watch Rangers versus Kilmarnock, £27 to go and watch St against Aberdeen. What we doing? Surely this should be a case where we try and draw people in, not draw people away. And especially during the crisis of the energy crisis, of COVID, of so many things, so many factors. And I think that the only way you're going to draw these people in is by putting it £10 for adults and £5 for children, and try and draw people in. If you're charging people 23 quid to watch Dundee United v Livingston, I think I'd rather draw the curtains.
It's
So
not just that though. It's not just that though. You're charging about £23 for a ticket, but you might have family as well. You've also got the cost of you've got the cost of lunch, you've got the cost of a pie, you've got the cost of a programme. It's a lot of money to spend on one day out.
Yeah, and like you said there, game, the cost of pies and that have doubled from the energy crisis. So it's not like if you've got four children or you're taking someone to the game, it's a very expensive day out, and I think we need to say right, from a Scottish government point of view, we need to say right, people want to go to football, but that is not affordable for someone to go, especially if you're paying petrol to go to the game, or you're taking a train, or you're going to the pub before the game, or it's not affordable.
That's a brilliant point, Reagan, because a lot of people just assume that, oh well, you can go in a supporters bus or you can go in the car as well, but what happens if you can't drive? You might have to go in public transport. So yet again, that you're paying, I don't know, fiver for a public. I don't know how much a train ticket is these days, but you know it's too expensive, and that's why people doesn't can't go to the games, because it's not that they can't go to the games, it's because they can't afford it.
I don't want to be harsh here, right? But I'm looking at the ticket prices, right, for the away fans for Saturday. So Aberdeen fans at St Mirren are getting charged £26. St Johnstone fans at Motherwell getting charged £25. Kilmarnock fans at Rangers are getting charged £31. Celtic fans at Ross Kent are getting charged £28. And Hearts fans at Easter Road are getting charged £33. I'm not being funny, but what charging St Johnstone fans £25 to go and watch Motherwell St Johnstone, that's an absolute joke. You should make that £15, £20. That for me is an absolute ridiculous amount to charge for that.
See, for me, right, that St Johnstone Motherwell game will be empty tomorrow, right? Surely you could have said every children free, every adult pay a tenner and you get in. But that's the way you attract more people in.
Let's we might come back to this before the end of the show, but I just wanted to, by the way, before we move on, to speak about the Rangers game. When you and Graham was talking, and I was listening to you, but I was watching the goal back as well. I didn't appreciate how good, not even the goal was, but it was a good kind of like team. It was a good kind of team goal as well, Graham.
Yeah, it was a brilliant goal, great build up. I think McGrath was involved in this.
Yeah,
it's a lovely goal. If you're going to score a goal, may as well make it a good one. And Middleton's got that potential. He's a very, very good player, and he starts it off by beating two players in the touchline. It's a really, really good move, and it's a very, very composed finish. He had a lot to do, and he just bent it in the corner, way past the keeper. It's a very, very good goal, and if I think Middleton is more than capable of doing that again this season.
Let's speak about the Tuesday night game. Reagan, disappointing for Rangers to go in to go all to Belgium and to get beat by 2-0. But I think if you're listening to a lot of Rangers fans during the week, they were confident. But no matter who you play for Belgium, it's always going to be a difficult game.
Yeah, I think this story from Union is a great story, because they've come through the leagues and done really well.
It's the first time in Europe in 58 years.
Yeah, but I think that maybe Rangers took them too easy. I think because I know they went to the European final, but I thought Rangers it looked like they were playing a pre-season friendly. They did the part with I don't know. I just felt they didn't really have that intensity. But I wanted to ask you guys, right? Because I think I don't see any reason why they didn't play McGregor in the between the sticks, because for me, John McLaughlin is a very capable goalkeeper. But I think if you're a Rangers fan, I think for that qualifier, I think you'd have rather played Alan McGregor. And I bet you if you put a poll on YouTube right now, you said to Rangers fans, who would you rather play in a European away tie after last season getting to the Europa League final? It would have been Alan McGregor. But I want to ask you something, Graham. See, in terms of Alan McGregor, what was the point of him signing a 1 year contract just to sit on the bench? Do you think that was because Giovanni wanted him to be in the dressing room, or do you think he's told him that he can fight for his chance? Because see, looking at the last Saturday's game, and I didn't see the game, I heard the game on radio because I was heading off to a different football game, but I just feel that he's basically saying that McLaughlin's got the number one spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think McLaughlin's a good goalkeeper. It was at Hearts, and I thought he was really good. But listen, Alan McGregor is, for me, still Rangers number one. I was very surprised that he didn't start on Tuesday. I thought he would have done. And I know, listen to radio stations and that Rangers fans are not particularly impressed that he didn't start. And I think a lot of folk are blaming McLaughlin for the first goal. Maybe slightly harsh, but listen, I think McGregor is a better goalkeeper than McLaughlin. And the fact he signed that deal, I would have thought he would start pretty much every week unless he's injured or whatever.
Same here.
So I was very surprised that he didn't start that game. I thought he would have done, but I think he'll definitely start the next one.
I totally disagree with that, Graham. I think that now that he's made that mistake, and that Giovanni sees it, I think that he'll double down on it. I think he'll say, right, John McLaughlin's my guy, and he's going to play tomorrow, and he's going to play again on Tuesday.
But man, I mean, to be fair to McLaughlin, he pulled off 2 saves by the end of the game. I mean, Rangers could have been 3-0 down before they come back to Ibrox.
100%. I mean, McLaughlin did keep Rangers in that game. I mean, Rangers were very poor on Tuesday. They looked very sluggish. They looked very lacklustre. I didn't think Kolak, Tillman, and Matondo up front really did anything major. But the one thing I would say, I mean, the only positive for Rangers fans is it's only 2-0, because that could have been, as you said, it could have been a lot worse. But the one thing I would say is that penalty decision is an absolute disgrace.
Oh,
I mean, how on earth is that? What on earth can Goldson do to get out of the way of that? That is never a penalty in a million years.
Yeah, let's speak about the VAR incident, right? Because usually, I don't know what your take on it, Reagan, right? But usually you watch the game on the telly first year and you're thinking, well, I never saw it there. But when you see the replay, you're like that. Because you're seeing it from a different camera angle. But I mean, I've yet to see a camera angle that would show it was a penalty, because where the ref got that decision from, I'll never know. And when he runs over to the monitor now, I know that it's going to be a penalty.
See, when he runs over to the monitor, I think he just wants to make it about him. He wants to make it about him. He wants to make a wee show, a wee drama. Because how he decided that is a penalty is beyond me. Now, I want to say like this, but there is a majority in Scottish football that want VR, right? And the majority is, I remember Rangers Football Club directly. Giovanni, when Broncos Rangers statement were coming out and saying that VR, that could have been implemented for the Celtic first goal that they scored when Rio Hatate scored in the Glasgow Derby, and he said that VAR was needed. So I think that as much as Rangers are complaining there, I've been against VAR from the very start. So I'm not a for VAR, but what I will say is that I don't want this one-sided argument. If you're for VAR, you're for VAR, but if you're not for it, well, I don't want people to come out and say, right, I'm for it because it goes to my team. You're either for it or you're not for it. Because for me, I think it makes a mockery of Scottish football that we are bringing it in halfway through a season. Now, I listened to different pundits the other night saying, well, it's the only option. I still think that it doesn't look good for the league. And also that, I mean, what are we saying to people looking on at Scottish football when we're not going to have the same camera angles that they have in European football. Like we were going to have a guy outside their truck at the Tony Macaroni Arena, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of VAR, but I still think that you can't say you're for it and then now say you're against it. Because for me, I just think VAR's an absolute mess.
Well, give you an example, and I don't want to get into this VR debate because we're talking about the Rangers game, right? But I was watching the hockey this week for the Commonwealth Games, and I know it's a totally different sport and all that, right? But they've got VR in hockey, right? And when they take it to VAR, believe it or not, it only takes about 7 seconds for them to say, it's a penalty corner or it's not a penalty or whatever. But in football at the moment, especially down south, Graham, I mean, you saw it last season we especially the big games on Sky, they take about 10 minutes.
Sorry, Mike, I just wanted to jump in there because I've actually been in an English stadium last season when they gave VR, right? And the whole stadium was bouncing for like 5 or 6 minutes waiting for the referee, and then the referee jogs over to the wee telly, and people say to me, "Oh well, he's made his mind up." But I'm telling you, see the crowd, the crowd shouting, balling at him, and doing whatever. That has got to have an influence on the referee.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be like that, Regan.
No, I totally agree.
I think what they should do, for me personally, watching at home, they should actually mic the referees up so we can hear what the decision is and why they've made that decision. Because I cannot understand for the life of me how that referee goes to that monitor and gives that as a handball. I do not understand what he saw there.
But me and you know that UEFA, Scottish FA, or the English FA would be too scared to mic up people.
Going back to the hockey, for an example, right? They're mic'd up, Grim. So when it goes to VAR, you hear the refs speaking to the refs watching the VAR, and then you hear that conversation kind of going back and forth.
Can you imagine, right? Can you imagine if that happens at a Rangers Celtic game next season? They'll be absolute.
It's a disgrace.
They'll be mental.
And I just want to clear something up that everybody seems to get wrong, right? I seen a Livingston player tackle a Rangers player, right? And people were saying it should have been a second yellow. VR would have changed it. VR cannot change a yellow card. VR can only look at red cards only. So everybody's saying that could have been a second yellow. VR does not look at yellow cards. Just to clear that up for anybody, because I'm sick of people saying it.
Here's a question for you. If VAR was in Scottish football, would that Livingston goal last week that was disallowed be counted?
Yes, 100%. That should have been a goal. 100%.
So Rangers are 2-0 down. Obvious question, but I'll ask it anyway because that's my job. Graham, what does Rangers need to do when they go back to Ibrox next week?
Score 3.
Score 3 goals.
I was waiting for that. I think sometimes you say that if you ask a stupid question, you'll get a stupid answer. And
No,
well
what I
done,
would say
Graham.
is, what I would say is, I don't think Rangers can play any worse than what they did on Tuesday. Now, I think they might have Morelos back, and I think they miss him, to be honest. He's their best striker by a mile. So I think if they've got him back, they've got a chance. And that Ibrox crowd could be a massive difference. So
Good.
I think if Rangers get an early goal, get the first goal, they've got a chance to get back into it. But I don't think they can take this side lightly, because that side looked a decent team last week. So I think it'll be difficult. But I think at Ibrox, Rangers got a good chance to turn that round.
What about the game tomorrow, Reagan? First game at home for many of the players. And you've got to imagine it's got to be a full house against the new boys Kamarok. And some guys basically told us that Morelos is back tomorrow.
You're on mute, Reagan.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that he's back, because he's a great player for Rangers. But I think I was disappointed to see Rangers playing so bad. I mean, I thought they were awful the other night. But I think it's good to see other clubs doing well for the coefficient that Rangers couldn't, because I think it's been a bit misrepresented, Michael, that Rangers have carried the coefficient. Now, I tend to agree with that, but I still would like to say that other clubs have got more points than Rangers over the past. So I think it's a little bit misrepresented. But I mean, at the same point, I think it'll be a very difficult game for Rangers tomorrow. I mean, I did say last week that I think Derek McInnes will take Kilmarnock into the top 6. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think they've got a very capable squad there.
Yeah, I mean, Graham, it's nice to see Kilmarnock back in the top league, because they are a kind of top team and all that. And Derek McInnes is a good manager, and he was very successful for Aberdeen as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I would have loved to have seen Arbroath coming up last season, but, fair play to Kilmarnock, they did it. They came up, and I think they've done okay so far. They've signed reasonably well. I think the fact they've got Kyle Lafferty will be a massive help to them as well, because he's got the experience. And yeah, McInnes is a very experienced manager. I think he'll do really well. Again, like United, I think by the end of this window, I think they'll probably have another few players in. And that they can take time to gel. But, they played okay last week in spells against United. But I just think going to Ibrox is a completely different game. I don't think McInnes will be expecting anything of him, but if they can get something out of that, fantastic. But I think Kilmarnock will have a decent season. Whether they'll finish top 6, I'm not sure, but I think they'll have a decent season though.
I was going to say to you, Graham, I like mayo. No, it's not mayo that you put on your bread. I like mayo that plays with Derek McInnes. Do you think he can be a big player for them?
I don't see reasons why not. I think again, I think Chris Burke's still there as well. And again, it's
he's now under 16's coach or under.
Yeah, he's a coach at Kilmarnock, isn't he?
Well, that's still a big loss for. I think that's still a big loss for them playing, because I think Chris Burke's.
Chris Burke's a great player.
But no, I think Lewis Mayo could do a really good job. As I say, I think Kilmarnock have a decent season, and I think I think they'll be looking to try and finish top 6, but I just don't know if they've got enough quality yet. But by the end of the window, they might have.
Well, Graham, I think we'll see my prediction at the end of the season. But I just see, to me, I think sometimes it's better the person because I think Derek is a very proven manager. I mean, people forget that Derek won 2 trophies at Aberdeen. So,
what about the? Okay, so let's move on now to speak about the good run through the games tomorrow. Then Aberdeen is at St Mirren, Motherwell, St Johnstone, Rangers, Kilmarnock that we spoke about, Ross County, Celtic, Hibs and Hearts on Sunday, 12 o'clock, and Dundee United against Livingston also on Sunday at 3 o'clock. So let's pick up on the game then. Reagan mentioned it earlier on about the ticket prices for this game, Aberdeen and St Mirren. It's you would say that it's a Jim Goodwin derby.
Yeah, Michael, as I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Aberdeen actually because I think Jim Goodwin's done very well in the market. They've signed a 10th player today as well. So, yeah, I mean, Aberdeen are looking good, and I thought they were very disappointing last week, to be honest. Celtic Park, I was there, but I don't know if that was just because Celtic were so good first half that they blew Aberdeen away. But in terms of St Mirren, I'm a bit, I don't know, I'm a bit suspicious that they might be closer to the bottom than they will be at the top. But yeah, I mean, I think Aberdeen will control this game, and St Mirren will just be trying to see if they can get a point from it. But I think Stephen Robinson's a very good manager.
Reagan, for all that Celtic played very well last week, and they could have won by more. Johnny Hayes missed an absolutely golden chance at 1-0. If he scores that, it's a different game, maybe.
He did. I was right beside that, Graham. He did. He missed an absolutely great chance. Johnny is still a capable player. He played well, and people forget he played well in the Stadio Olimpico in Rome that night when Celtic beat Lazio 2-1. But yeah, Johnny's an interesting one because he's I would say he's probably 22 now, is he, Graham? Something like that.
Yeah.
But I think he'll still be a very important player for Aberdeen this season, even though they're bringing 10 players so far. But I just want to ask you, right, because obviously the American guy up front, is it Ramirez?
Ramirez, yeah.
He was the kind of main striker last year, but now he didn't seem to be getting a look in. Do you think Jim Goodwin will try to take him off the wage bill?
No, I think he'll keep him. I think Majowski that they brought in, he looks a very good signing. Last week he struggled a bit, but it's no surprise against Celtic. But I think he'll do a really good job, and I think Ramirez will still be a really good addition for Aberdeen. I think he is back, so I would expect him to let maybe play tomorrow. But I don't think there's any way they want to lose him because I think last season he was so important for them, and you can't have enough decent strikers. But I think Majowski and Ramirez up front as a partnership could be a really good partnership. I watched the game last week as well, and I thought Ramadani in midfield looks a very good player. I think they obviously missed Liam Scales because of the whole Celtic Aberdeen thing. But I think Aberdeen, as I said at the end of last season, I think Aberdeen cannot be any worse this season. And as you say, they just signed their 10th player. So he's having a very busy window, Goodwin, and it is hard to get those players to gel, but I think they'll be fine this season. I think easily they'll be top 6, and I reckon they'll be at least top 4 anyway.
And Good's come back to Aberdeen. I know that they came up against Celtic last week. That was their first goals that they lost of the season, and I've saw them a few times in the League Cup this season, and people would argue, well, it's only kind of the Rafe Roberts and Peter Hagen teams like that, but it's the same old argument that I put to you every week, Graham. No matter what team you're playing against, you still got to beat them, and Aberdeen beat these teams and never conceded a goal. So you could say that Aberdeen made a good start to the season, apart from last week.
100%, and I think like any football fan, when your team goes to Celtic Park or Ibrox, the one thing you would think about is don't lose an early goal. And I'm pretty sure that Jim Goodwin would have said to his team, look, whatever you do here, don't concede early. Try and frustrate the Celtic Park crowd and get your feet in the game. 3 minutes in, Stephen Welsh, bang, goal, and the game's pretty much done by then. And to lose a goal from a set piece as well so early on must be so frustrating for Goodwin. You set your team up that well, and then you lose a goal that early. It's a shocking goal to lose. But then, to be fair, Celtic could have easily won that game by 5 or 6 in the end.
Now, for all the St Mirren fans out there, I've got to clarify that Stephen Robertson is not going back to Motherwell. That's right, he's not going back, because I can't believe that, Reagan, that there were rumours of Stephen Robertson going back to Motherwell. but he denied it last week after the game.
Michael, how did you know what I was going to go on to next? Because I was just reading there on the BBC Sport website that Motherwell are saying that they hope to appoint a new manager very, very soon.
Yep, and thanks for advertising a website on the show. Other websites are available, but there you go, Reagan. Just to clarify that one.
Yeah, because I did read that the former player Stevie Hamill is in talks to become the new manager. What do you make of that, Graham? Because I'm a bit surprised. No disrespect to him, but I have heard also that Duncan Ferguson could be interested. What do you make of that, Graham?
It's a difficult one. I don't know if Hamill's ready for that yet. Maybe he is, I don't know, but I think it's a very risky move. Would he? I mean, personally, I would probably see him as an assistant to somebody else. I think Duncan Ferguson. Sorry, my convo.
I suppose, like, Gus could say about Stephen Hamill, Graham. I suppose, like, I know you were saying it's a bit risky, but look at Reagan's pal, David Martindale. He was number 2 and they came in, and he did well for Livingston last season.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, it could work. I just have a bit of a nightmare about Ian Cather when he got appointed to Hearts, and that was a disaster. So, listen, it could work. Duncan Ferguson, I wouldn't mess with him on a Saturday night, that's for sure. Again, on you go, mate.
I was just going to say, do you think it's time that they maybe had someone like Stevie Hamill or James, or maybe a James McFadden? Because I think that it's important that the Scottish football, I'm not being derogatory here, but it's a smaller league, and maybe someone like a James McFadden can learn off in the Scottish Premiership, because let's be honest about it, he's not going to go to the Premier League and going to get a job down there.
I think if James McFadden's going to come in, that's who you want in the TV studio watching the VAR.
To be honest, I would rather James McFadden was in the Motherwell dugout rather than on the TV, so that's fine for me. I'm happy with that.
Let's move on into, and by the way, when I was reading out the games tonight, if you're watching the game, if you're a big Ayr United fan and Queen's Park fan, I'm sorry, but that game's on tonight as well. I don't know why it's on tonight, because it's not on TV. I'm not.
It is on TV.
Right, so that there you go. So that's why it's tonight then. There you go. Humble pie. So there you go.
I did say Michael likes to miss things earlier on the show.
Yeah, I know exactly. So that's why that game's tonight. Queen's Park against Ayr United on the BBC Scotland channel. Graham, thanks for that. And other channels are available. Yeah. Okay, let's move on now to speak about. Well, funnily enough, we were talking about Motherwell. They're playing St Johnstone tomorrow, Reagan.
Yeah, I mean, I predicted last week that St Johnstone would beat Hibs 2-0. But I was surprised at St Johnstone, because after last season, I thought it was just a blip, to be honest. But I think last week's performance just showed you that St Johnstone are in big trouble. I think that Davidson will be slightly worried that the players don't get in this rut again, because as much as he knows he's a good manager by winning the 2 cups, he knows that he doesn't want to be down there again, Graham, and be in that rut of being in the bottom 2. But I just want to go on to something about St Johnstone, because for me, St Johnston's funny, because I don't think they've got obviously Jimmy Murphy they just signed, but to me they've not got obvious people that can score goals. Stevie May, right? Stevie May's been there for years, but I don't think he's one that can score you goals all the time, Graham.
Not 100%. Stephen May is a very good player, but again, last week they didn't really create a lot against Hibs. I think Hibs did deserve to win the game, maybe a bit fortuitous, but did deserve to win. But they don't really have a lot of front, St Johnstone. I think last week they had like Graham Carey and Jamie Murphy playing behind a guy called Blair, and they didn't really create a lot. I think they missed Callum Hendry. I think Callum Hendry was a very big player for them at the end of last season.
He
And I
he,
honest, oh, you
he
go,
was
mate.
he was probably the guy that kept him up in the league, Graham.
Oh, he was 100%. I think Dre Wright coming for Hibs is a decent player. But again, they've not really got enough up front.
Nah,
And I think I said last week, I really think St Johnstone could be in trouble this season. I mean,
me as well.
last season they got out of it just, but I think they could be in serious trouble again this season. I would worry for St Johnstone this season.
Aye. So sorry, Mike. I don't know if you're going to move on here, but I just wanted to say on St Johnstone as well, because for me a big factor is I just hope that if St Johnstone do go through a bad run here, that they stick by Davison, because he's a good manager, and you don't want to see him lose his job. But do you think that because they've lost so many big players from last season, Graham, as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think they did lose a lot of decent players last season. And I think they haven't really replaced them either. Like Ali McCann was a massive blow, and they haven't replaced him. And there are other ones they've not replaced. So I think, recruitment is so important. Every club knows that. You need to sign well. You need to sign really good players. And I don't think St Johnstone yet have done that.
No.
There's still time. There's still time. But I just really worry for St Johnstone. And it's crazy because we talked about this, Michael, me, you, last season. The fact that they won that League Cup and Scottish Cup, and you think, St Johnstone looked very good, and they've just plummeted. And I think you're right. I do completely agree. I hope they stick with Callum Davidson. But as everyone knows, it's a results business. And if results aren't going well, you're going to get sacked. But I really fear for St Johnstone. I don't think they've done enough in the transfer window.
No, there's no.
How about this for theory, right, Reagan? This is left field. Callum Davison, the Motherwell manager.
That would be a great appointment. But then I would say that I think Motherwell are just in as much trouble as St Johnstone. So what is he going to? Because for me, as much as Motherwell, and Graham Williams as well, as much as Motherwell got into Europe, and fair play to them, fair play to Graham Alexander, but I thought over the two legs, Sligo Rovers totally deserved to win that. This is a Sligo Rovers side like last night that were 5-1 down to Viking from Norway's first division. This is not a Sligo side that are any good shakes, And I think if you're Graham Alexander and you've seen that team, and I just hope from another point of view they can bring a few players in, because notice to Stevie Hamill as well, but I don't think Stevie Hamill's the kind of appointment you should be bringing in during the transfer window. I don't know what you think, Graham, but I think that during the transfer window, you want to bring a manager in that knows how transfer windows work and know who he can bring in. He's got really good contacts. No, I've got no doubt that Stevie Hamill has built great contacts throughout the years, but this is a guy that played for Motherwell for the whole of his career. I don't imagine he's got great contacts down south for places like that. And I just think that Motherwell need someone to go in there. And it might just be the case to bring in maybe 3 or 4 new players, a striker, a midfielder, a new centre back, just to bring some fresh blood into that team, Graham.
100%. I think a new manager needs to come in pretty quickly, because obviously we've only got a month left of the window. He needs to have a look at the squad he's got, look at what he needs, look at what he can get rid of. And you need to give the guy time to get that sorted and bring in his own players. And I think as well, you've talked about striker, and you're right, they rely far too heavily on Kevin Van Veen. He's been such a huge player for them.
I mean, I don't even think Van Veen's that good a player. And the fact that they've only got one really attacking player for a team like Motherwell is absolutely terrible. I mean, you're not telling me that a player like I'm trying to think, but I'm just being honest. I don't imagine that the transfer budget for a club like Motherwell is that much different from a club like David Martindale, right? And some of the players that that they've managed to get in, like Joe Newbley. Joe Newbley had a great game for David Martindale last week, and you're telling me Motherwell could attract a player like that? I mean, Joe Newbley was outstanding. He probably should have made it 2-0.
Yeah, he was, and I think we talk about Motherwell. I think Michael mentioned this last week or maybe the week before, but they haven't replaced Tony Watt.
No.
You lose a guy like Tony Watt, and you've not replaced him. You've only got Van Veen and Connor Shields, and again, Connor Shields is a decent player, but he's not going to score you 50 goals.
To play devil's advocate, Graham, was that the beginning of the end of Graham Alexander? Because remember when Tony Watt signed, there was a kind of falling out with Graham Alexander and the players, and then he left halfway through the season, and after that, Motherwell only won 4 games the rest of the season. So
yeah, I think we had Josh on the show last week. He was talking about the fact there was a real rift in that Motherwell dressing room with Alexander, and you can see why. The players weren't playing for him, and you've just talked about the Sligo Rovers game. Losing the first game was really poor. That was a poor performance, but the second one is even worse. They were so poor, and they didn't look like they were really playing for the manager. And I think, listen, the Motherwell players might play for Stephen Hamill because he's been there a while, they know him, but I think they need to get it right in that backroom staff. They need to get recruitment right. And to be honest, they were very fortunate to win against St Mirren last week because St Mirren battered them, especially the second half. They were very lucky to win that game, but they got the 3 points and that's all that mattered. But again, I think Motherwell could have a very difficult season this season.
And I think also, just to finish this point, Michael, I think it's a bad day for Motherwell, right? When your goalkeeper is your best player. I think Liam Kelly's a great player, but I think there's only so much Liam Kelly can do as a player, Graham. I've never played football, Graham, but you've probably played football. And see when you're getting barraged with shots 24/7, 9 times out of 10, my Motherwell are going to lose games after relying on Liam Kelly to pull them out of a hole every single week.
100%. That's where they need more quality up front because they, again, a bit like St Johnstone, they don't really score a lot of goals and they rely far too much on Van Veen. If they can get that sorted, they bring in a few more players attacking wise, they could be okay. But again, like I said with St Johnstone, I would be worried about Motherwell this season.
Let's go on now to speak about the game up in Dingwall tomorrow. You could say maybe the furthest away game in Scotland tomorrow, Ross County against Celtic. A bit surprising that the game's not on TV, but nevertheless, don't get me and Mr. Duffy scattered on that because they're on until 7 o'clock. Because they could get easily shown the Hearts and Hibs game on Sunday and the Celtic game or tomorrow at 12:30. So the game's not on the telly. Celtic always find it very difficult up at Ross County, especially the last game. What was it? 94 minutes. They got a goal. Anthony Ralston got the winning goal. So what do you think of this game tomorrow, Reagan? It's a totally different game, totally different atmosphere to last week.
Yeah, I mean, Graham will back me up here, but I thought Ross County were absolutely brilliant last week. I thought they offered a great attacking threat. I thought they were really good defensively. They were set up well. I thought Malcolm Mackay's done really well amid the criticism of him being appointed the manager. And I think it's going to be a really tough test, Graham, tomorrow because as much as Celtic are expected to go up to Ross County and I mean, I remember under Neil Lennon, like Celtic during the lockdown, Celtic went up there and beat Ross County 5-0 and even a Jetty got in the act. So I think what Malcolm Mackay's done there, he's shown that that Ross County are no mugs anymore because there was even a player who spoke this week to a newspaper and said, I spoke with the manager and his ambition is European football. A couple of years ago, Graham, you never got any player coming in for Ross County and saying, we Ross County fans are playing European football.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Ross County I thought were fantastic first half last week. I thought they ripped parts apart numerous times. I thought the laddie Edwards was excellent out wide. He ripped Nathaniel Atkinson a new one. I was very impressed with County. They played some really good football. They put the ball over the top a few times. They got a lot of pace up front. I did wonder how they would cope without the likes of Regan Charles Cook and Joseph Hungbo. But to be fair to Mackay, he signed very, very well, and they look a very, very good side. You spoke about defensively, yeah, they were very solid. They didn't really give Liam Boyce, Lawrence Shankland, and Barry Mackay any time on the ball. It was only the second half that it changed and Hearts were a lot better, but I was very impressed with what I saw for County. And I think it'll be a hard game for Celtic. I do expect Celtic to win, but I don't think it'll be an easy game because people say Dingwall's not an easy place to go, and it's not. And I think the way Mackay's got them playing, and I think you can see that they've played the competitive games in the Premier Sports Cup because they looked very, very good. And I think they'll give Celtic a hard game, but I would expect Celtic to win that, but it'll be tight, I think.
I think picking up on Reagan's point there, did we not speak about this last week, Graham? And was it not Robbie Nielsen? I was saying that Hearts could win the league or be up there challenging, and that's basically what Reagan was saying about the Ross County player, saying you've got to aim for Europe. But for me, I don't know about you, but for me, you've always got to aim big every season. Even though in your Hearts and Hearts,
true.
not that Hearts, Graham, but Hearts and Hearts, you're never going to win the league, but you're still going to be up there like challenging, because there's no point of going to your work every day to say, well, I'm going to work, but I don't really like it and I'm not going to perform. And that's the same as football. You're not going to go in that football park and say, well, we're going to get beat every week. So, what I'm saying is, you've got to aim big, during the season.
I think for Celtic, it's going to be a really hard game. But I want to just make a point that you and Graham love, right? But I find it astonishing, right? Celtic is going to be a hard game, and I've said that Ross County are going to be a hard game. But I do find it astonishing that fans of both clubs that are not at the game won't be able to see it. So how are we supposed to know if it's a good game? I just find it astonishing that both Rangers and Celtic fans have been used to every away game being shown. Now, before anybody says this is me being biased towards Scottish football, and we should, we've got a good TV deal, whatever. No, I say well done to Neil Doncaster and Singe or Ryland Clark if you're watching. Fantastic, mate. But I think we really need to upgrade in Scottish football, Graham, because see, for me, right, I know people talk about the blackout, the 3 o'clock blackout and stuff, but that was like in the early 2000s when everybody was going to the games. But see nowadays, Graham, you can get in, you can watch Netflix or Amazon or the Apple TV.
Yeah, I mean, I was genuinely surprised the Ross County Celtic game, as Michael said, wasn't maybe tomorrow at like 12:30 or something. I was surprised that wasn't getting shown on TV. But again, I don't want to.
Big Graham, the problem is, right, see last year papered over the cracks because everybody, don't forget that this was the first year that the TV deal was being used. So people were just seeing it. I think the whole problem was that Celtic supporters, Rangers supporters, they had to use the pay-per-view service 6 times last year. But now that's not available because Neil Doncaster says that the COVID season's away, so everybody back at stadiums. But then what I would say to Neil Doncaster is that surely you're restricting your trade by not letting fans see the game. Because for me, sorry, Michael, I just want to say this. Now we're looking at Celtic fans tomorrow. The Celtic fan ticket allocation has been reduced to, I think it's 1,900 or 2,000 people. So you're talking about a small majority of fans that are going there. And what's the rest meant to do? Of course, people go to illegal streams or BBC Radio or whatever, but it's not. That's what it shouldn't come to. We should be able to watch our teams.
I'm not a betting man, right? And before you say it, no, don't put on a bet at other betting companies. But if you like, I'm going to say that the only games that you'll see out with the Glasgow Big Two, the Old Firm, or whatever you want to call it, is Hearts and Hibs and Dundee and like in Dundee. The only interested in the derbies. They're not interested in Hearts playing the likes of Livingston or Aberdeen or whatever. But I mean, to last season, I think I spoke about this for weeks and weeks on the show because it's the biggest passion of mine, but also it's the biggest bugbear of mine as well. Out with Celtic and Rangers, Hearts and Hibs got shown on Sky 3 times, right? And Dundee United and Dundee only get shown once on the TV. That's how interested they are in Scottish football. I'm not having a get. I'm not
No.
having a dig
No, I know.
here, but I'm only being honest.
Well,
Like,
here's one for you, right? I'm not saying this about bias as a Hearts fan, but why is Rangers Queen of the South being shown by Premier Sports?
Thank you.
Why are they showing that
Thank
game?
you.
You've got Hearts Commander, you've got Livingston United.
Yeah,
Why are they
yeah.
showing? Why are they showing Rangers against Queen of the South? Absolutely
Yeah.
pointless.
Because Premier Sports are an absolute shambles. I've got some friends that work for them. There's great people working for them, but I just think that the way that Premier Sports are looking at it now, they might come back to me and they might message me and say that this is not what we're doing. But what they're trying to do, Michael and Graham, is that they're trying to make the most money, and they know that Rangers fans, Celtic fans will buy their subscriptions, and to me, football now all about money. But
Yep.
see now, Michael, there should be a way that we can watch our teams because we've spoken about this before. But football's a passion. People watch football, Michael, to help with their mental health, to take away things in their lives. People watch football for a number of things, and for people not to be able to watch their team play tomorrow unless you go in the stadium, that is a restriction of trade. You're restricting people from doing what they want to do. And I heard Neil Doncaster saying, "Oh, but we're going to try and crack down on people watching on different betting sites and streaming sites." But what is fans meant to do then? What other choice have they got? They've got no other choice.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Let's move back to the game tomorrow because I don't want to. I know.
Sorry, Michael. Sorry about that.
No. It's an interesting subject to come back to, Reagan, right? Because fans can no disrespect to people in England and all that, but tonight is the beginning of the Premiership, and I'm sure the Crystal Palace and Arsenal and I'll guarantee you, Reagan, that between now and Monday there'll be 4 games on the TV from England, but you're lucky that you can get 1 game a week in Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, you can also watch 127 games over the Football League. So you're even talking about the Premier League. We're talking about the Championship in England, League One, England, and League Two. If they can get 127 games for that package, 127 games there, I just find that a disgrace.
But no, I need to come back to that 1 week and speak about that and give it more time to speak about that. But let's speak about Celtic and Ross County. Celtic find it difficult up there in the past. Ross County is a good team no matter where they go. But so what do you think of this game, Reagan? It's a tough test.
Yeah, it's a tough test. I expect it to be very tough. I do like the inclusion of Starfields back as well. Michael, I read that from Ange Postecoglou. I see that Rio Hatate is injured.
It's out. Yeah.
And I did say last week that I think Celtic should be looking at least 2 midfield players because they're talking about James McCarthy going to Sunderland and And they're also looking to get rid of Mikey Johnson, so I'd expect 2 midfield players to come in. But yeah, in terms of tomorrow, I'm expecting Celtic to win, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 scoreline.
Reagan, I just wanted to ask you, and Michael can ask this as well, but obviously I watched the Celtic game last week, and one player that really impressed me was Matt O'Reilly. Do you think he'll get a lot of game? Do you think he'll get a lot of game time this season? Because I think he was very, very, very impressive.
I think he'll be the most used player. Graham, I think the biggest worry for Celtic fans is that with James Madison looking to go to Newcastle, I don't know where the development is there. Has there been a development, Graham?
Yep, I just saw on Twitter there that Brendan Rodgers basically said he's not for sale.
Oh, well, I think that if James Madison goes to Newcastle, then I think that Matt Riley could definitely be on the radar because football fans are fickle, Graham, but I think Matt O'Reilly is a top player, and I think that he could. I think if Celtic keep him for the next couple of years, they could be looking at maybe 25 million for the guy.
What did you make of him, Michael? Because you would have seen him firsthand last week.
Yeah, no, I've always liked him from day one as well. I think that Ben Klasky could see him in the Champions League because I feel as though that in most of the players in the team that basically you're going up not one, not two, but maybe 5 levels to the Champions League as well. So no, and plus that it'll be good to see him getting a full season with Celtic because he came in halfway through the season last season. So I'll be good to see him kind of like gel and all that. But no, I've always liked him and he's a decent player. And I think he can speak about 5 different languages as well because was he not given an interview last season with who does he play for? Who's his international team?
Denmark.
Denmark, yeah. Did he not do the whole interview in Danish?
Yeah, I think he speaks French as well, and he speaks quite a few. I just wanted to ask Graham, see in terms of Celtic, obviously I was at the game, but the first half it looked great from where I was sitting, Graham. What did it look like for you? Because I think that the only problem I see with Celtic is, Graham, I've said it before, and people think I'm being negative, but I just think they're lacking one more striker. Because for me, Kyogo's great, but I don't know. I just get really worried that he may get injured.
Yeah, I think Celtic looked very, very impressive front to back. I think, again, we speak about this guy a lot, but for me, I think Callum McGregor's so important for Celtic. He takes the play. I think he's a very, very good captain. And I think I've seen a lot of Celtic fans tipping Giakoumakis to get top scorer this season. I don't know if he will, but I think he's a very, very good player again. But I think Celtic probably will look to strengthen that area. Again, I really like Maeda. I think I've said this before, that his energy and work rate is unbelievable. Like off the ball, he never stops running. So I think Celtic have got a lot of quality up front. I personally, and listen, everyone does this, but I've heard Celtic fans tip Celtic to win the league, Rangers fans tip Rangers to the league. I think Celtic will win the league again this season. I think they've just got a little bit more going forward for me. And I think for me, again, one of the biggest things that they did was signing Carter Vickers on a long-term deal because I think he's a very, very good defender.
Yep. I think most people were surprised that Celtic got Vickers and Jota. They were expecting to get one or the other, but if you ask any Celtic fans, halfway through the season, they would prefer Vickers than Jota because Jota went through a wee quiet spell, mainly Christmas to New Year, that kind of part. But he came back onto a game with 7 games to go or something as well. But no, it's a good bit of business for Celtic to get the 2. And I think, yeah.
So I was just going to say, what's happening with James Forrest? Is he not getting games anymore, or what's happening with him?
I think he's he's an integral part of the dressing room, Graham. He'll come on as a sub. I don't think he's not getting games. I just think now James knows his role. Is that probably a good way to put it, Michael?
I think for me, honestly, I think it's injuries let him down. To be honest with you, because I've always liked James Forrest, especially for Celtic and Scotland as well. But I think it's his injuries, Graham. If he wasn't injured, I think he might have got a game every week. It's hard to say. Obviously, it's ifs, buts, and maybes. Oh, I heard that. I heard somebody saying that before, and somewhere else. Don't know who it was. But no, I've always liked Forrest. He's just been a bit unlucky with injuries, you know. But it's funny because Alan Forrest, his brother, has more goals than, well, not more goals, but he played in more games that season than Forrest.
I love Alan Forrest. I'm so glad we got him.
So now, like you mentioned, Alan Forrest, right? And I'm going to give you the big build-up, Graham, of predicting the score for Sunday's Edinburgh derby between Hearts and Hibs. Hopefully, it's not another brilliant game, but 0-0.
Right. Do I go 5-1 to Hearts, or do I be realistic and go 6-1? I'll go. I think it'll be tight. I'm going to go 2-1 Hearts. I'm going to go 2-1 Hearts, and I'm going to say I think Forrest will score, and I think Lawrence Shanklin will get his derby goal.
Reagan? I think Reagan's speechless for the first time in his life. That's nice.
Sorry, Michael. I will go for 2-0 to Hearts. I just think they've got too much for Hibs. I just think, as much as Barry was pointing it down earlier, I think that Hibs are in a bit of a transition. Don't know what Graham thinks, but I just think that Hearts have got too much. I think they'll be the third best team again. But
Reagan, I was just going to say, Reagan, I don't know if we spoke about this last week or whatever when you were last on, but what does he make of the whole Ron Gordon thing, talking about the derby games and stuff? Did you see that?
Yeah, but I think Ron Gordon should just shut his mouth, to be honest. Because I think the whole thing about we play the games too early, and Lee Johnson was moaning about the SFA and this and that. Like, I think Ron Gordon, I've seen he's done some fan press conferences, and maybe the fans have enjoyed that, but I think sometimes as an owner, you need to be careful what you do as well, because it can go very quickly for you, Michael. Well, 1 week on this show, somebody could love me, next week somebody could hate me. So I think in terms of Ron Gordon, I think he sacked the manager too early. Now he's probably regretting that he sacked Jack Ross, Graham, and now he's probably thinking, well, I need to keep Lee Johnson on for quite a bit to see how it goes, because I'm just worried for him, because if you look at Ron Gordon, he's got his son. I think his son's the main scout. Am I right in saying that, Graham? I just think that makes it look so amateurish. His son is the main scout. His son is the main scout of the club. Now, I said this about Celtic last week on a different podcast, but Celtic is a club right now. I've got Ross Desmond. Ross Desmond, for anyone who doesn't know, is Dermot Desmond's son. Then they've got Mark Lowell. Now, anyone that says Ange picked Mark Lowell, I mean, they've got so you've got two sons there. I just don't know what it is. It must be a Scottish football thing, Graham. But why are we in? Why? Surely Hibs should be looking for the best candidate possible. See the way that you see the way you're happy with your club. They've got the best candidate. That's the way it should be across the board. I mean, Joe Savage, right? Fair enough. I don't believe that Hearts will win the league, but he's got his confidence. You know, he's thinking Hearts might win the league, and they brought in some good players. They brought in Shannon.
It's very much like Romanov when he first came in. Hearts to win the league in like 10 years. That never happened. But I just love Joe Savage's confidence and it's not arrogance. I think he's got the belief.
No.
And I'm just trying to figure out which week we love and which week we hate Reagan. Haven't decided yet.
Probably
I'm-
every.
when you spoke about Ron Gordon at Hibs, there, I was imagining Delia Smith out in the centre circle at half time with the
Let's be having
microphone.
you.
Where are you?
Yeah. Bryn Scott Wilson back. Oh no, that's
No,
Hearts. No,
no.
Gavin Pearson's Hibs.
No problem, isn't it?
I will go for Graham will love me for saying this, right? And I'm not going to say this because me and Mr. Duffy's got a good relationship, right? No, not that before you say that, Reagan, right? 3-1 to Hearts.
That'll do it. I'll take that.
Yep. 3-1 to Hearts. I guess you although Hearts are very strong all over the park.
Sorry,
And
Graham, sorry, Graham, would that be right in saying the last time that the Hibs won was the game where Jack
2019.
I think it was
Martin Boyle scored both goals at Tynecastle just before Christmas.
Was that Paul Hickenbottom? Was the manager Paul Hickenbottom?
I can't remember who was the manager of them, but Hearts had Daniel Stendhal in charge.
Yeah,
I think it was Paul Hickenbottom then, maybe.
Or Paul Secondbottom was Paul Secondbottom was well known.
Let's go on to speak about the last game of the weekend, and we kind of touched upon Reagan's best pal. No, not Jack Ross, David Martindale. Dundee United against Livingston. We'll build this game up to be a brilliant 0-0 game, Graham. But Dundee United will go into this game on a high after the brilliant European performance this week.
Yeah, and I think sometimes after that massive high, you kind of get a little bit of a come down. I don't think that'll happen on Sunday. I think United will be well up for that, and I think they'll be buoyed by that result. And as I said, Dylan Levitt, Stephen Fletcher, I think they've signed really well. I think United will win that. But what I would say is, and Reagan mentioned it before, Joe Nubley. I mean, he was outstanding last week against the Rangers. He caused George Suter absolute nightmares last week. He's a big laddie. But that finish was excellent, and he could have actually added to that in the second half. He's a very, very good player for Livingston. So I think it'll be a difficult game, but I think United will win that. I think they'll be on such a high after last night, and I think they've got a really good side there.
And after the game, we spoke to Jack Ross, and he was talking about Middleton's goal. So I think we can show you that clip now.
Yep.
Glenn and Jamie produced what we brought them to the club to do, which is provide that threat and creativity in the final third. That's what we've tried to do with the squad this season. And I watched it again, just an outstanding goal, and delighted for Glenn because of the type of player he is. He needs these moments, I think, to give him that platform for having a good career here. So special goal for him. It's one that I think he should enjoy very much. Still a very young man, and for it to be the winner on an occasion like tonight was brilliant.
Do you think that as well that just come back to the Hibs for a wee minute or two? Do you think that Hibs fans will be watching that game last night and thinking, well, Ron Gordon got rid of Jack Ross too early because he kind of gelled a team in a short space of time, and it was up against a big European giant and AZ Alkmaar last night, and they performed well for 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Ron Gordon, I think you're putting pins in your eyes rather than watching the game because I think Jack Ross has proved that he's a very good manager, and Sean Maloney wanted to be the bad experiment because I think Jack Ross, right, as much as it wasn't his fault, Jack Ross got them to a final of the cup. They beat Rangers, and I think the problem why they didn't get into the top six. Now I'm going to make I know it's hindsight. I know I'm dreaming. I know everything else, but I would probably say that if Jack Ross stayed there, they'd have probably got into the top six because you look at it every single week that Sky and BBC or any other company interviewed them. They all spoke about how they were missing Jack Ross and how Jack Ross was a great influence on them and how he was a great manager. So obviously every single player bought into what Jack Ross was doing. And I was listening to Aiden last night on a different radio program. He was saying that every single player at that Hibs club still speaks fondly about Jack. And even when they go back to Sunderland, when he said when Sunderland were going through a transition, they sacked Jack after losing the playoff final when they got beat in the final. I think it was 1-0. So he was saying that every single player at Sunderland and the Hibs both wanted Jack to stay on as a manager. So I think that just shows you how the modern player really buys into what he's doing. And I think if you take that Stephen Fletcher as an example, Stephen Fletcher is an older player, and Jack Ross has found a way for him to fit in really well and gel with Tony Watt. Because I don't know, Michael, this might just be me, but I was kind of thinking when Stephen Fletcher signed, I was like, well, it's a good bit of business, but I don't really know how fit he is, what he's going to be like, is he over the hill? But I think Jack Ross has just shown that it's a very shrewd bit of business.
Graham, I've got to hold my hands up here, right? Because I said to you last week on the show, I wonder how Dundee United will go on without Thomas Coates, and do you think they'll go downhill and all that? Well, what do I know about football?
Yeah, I think Thomas Coates. It was a massive shock that he left United when he did. Had a great season last season, but I think what they've done in bringing Jack Ross in. Listen, obviously I'm a Jabbo, everyone knows that, but I think he's a good manager, and I think a lot of Hearts fans wanted him as manager. But I think he's done a very good job wherever he's been. I think that phrase, "the grass isn't always greener," and I think Hibs fans have found that out, to be honest. And I think they would have been watching that game last night behind the couch, watching how well Jack Ross did last night. And I just think his signings, as I said, have been so good.
Sorry, Graham, I just forgot that we've got the intriguing battle of the two former Scotland goalkeepers at Edinburgh Derby, David Marshall and Craig Gordon. That'll be interesting, eh?
Oh, great. It's going to be 0-0. You said that. I just forgot about that. They just get past them.
I know, I forgot about that one.
So as for Livingston, Reagan, we all saw the game last week against Rangers.
I thought they were brilliant.
They were brilliant for the first 45 minutes, I thought, and then Rangers just came out and done enough to beat them, you would say, on the day. So, I mean, Livingston's a kind of team like Ross County. You never know what you're going to get from one week to the next.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, you know, I've been a big critic of the plastic pitch, but I think the work that David Martindale's done is, I think
Graham, you can laugh now. It's fine.
I think he's done well. I mean,
did you hear that? Did you hear that reversing, Graham?
I mean, the fact that the fact that they managed to hold on a club like Rangers for the first 70 minutes, I think it just shows you, right, the budget between those two clubs, Michael, must be astronomical. But what he managed to do with that club is really good.
No, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I've got to stop you there, right? Graham, come on, help me here, right? Last season, for any baggy, I didn't watch the show last year. Where have you been? But last year, and I recorded the show now, Reagan says, Graham, I'll leave it to you.
It was all about the plastic pitch.
Who will be the first manager sacked, Reagan? Was that Mr. Martindale by the chance?
Yeah. Well, you make predictions and sometimes you mess up.
Don't I know? I make numerous on this show. I'm always wrong.
Yeah, and I wake up every morning, and that's a bad prediction.
I mean, that's why Michael gets me on the show every week to make bad predictions.
No, I've got Graham here to do that. It's fine. You can be his backup. So that's going to be a very interesting game. Dundee United against Livingston on Sunday.
So that's what I was speaking about there, Michael, earlier with
Barry Anderson.
I was saying that hopefully they can attract the same crowd, because I'm sure that if you're a Dundee United player, Michael, you want to see that same crowd turn up, because see, for me, it's a bit demoralising if these guys only turn up for the big games, because it's a bit like the glory hunters. You know, you want to see those guys paying into Scottish football. But Graham, do you know the prices for that game? Do you know what the price is? No.
I did have. Hold on, I can tell you what the away fans are getting charged. I don't know the home fans, but the away ones, it is. I've got it here.
I don't expect Ribbon's going to take a big support with them because they're not a big supporting club at
Oh, the-
home or away anyway. So
No, I've
there's
not got it
Michael.
there. I've not got it there.
There's Michael got his wee digging at Livingston. Yeah, that's a shame. Um,
double standard. Oh, yeah. So that's the football fixtures of the weekend. And don't forget, come back here on Sunday at 3:00, and Graham will be a big happy boy with a big smile like a Cheshire cat, or else maybe just like a cat if they get beat or drop points. But we'll be here between
Right, guys.
3 and 5 on Sunday. And Reagan has got to go
I just
because
want-
I think it's with David Martindale, I think, tonight.
No, it's not with David Martindale tonight, Michael.
Oh no, that's tomorrow night.
I'm a,
Okay.
I'm not meeting David Martindale this weekend, Michael. No, but no, I just wish you guys a good weekend and thank you for having me on.
You too,
no,
mate.
what, right.
Thank you.
See you later,
Thanks,
mate.
Reagan. And I bet you is away with David Martindale.
They'll be having a pint. They'll be having a pint. That's what it's a waiter.
A pint of a pint and a pie on a Friday night, and they'll be away.
We better not show Martindale the show after last season.
No. They might be away what's the Queen's Park game tonight, you know.
You never know, might be.
Yeah, how did I know that game wasn't on the telly if it was a Friday night? Anyway, so, Graham, we're going to talk about the women's football on the show on Sunday, but the Premier League is back on Sunday now for the women's football.
Yeah, fantastic. It'll be great to see it. And to be honest, you know, we talk about women's game a lot, and it's been highlighted more by the fact that the women's England Euros, they won the Euros, and to be honest, I knew they would. I actually thought they would. And they played very well against Germany. So, you know, the women's game is getting highlighted a lot more. And yeah, it's great to see the SWPL back on Sunday. There'll be a lot of decent games, and I think they'll be on when we're on the show, so we can we'll manage to get some of the games when we're on the show on Sunday, which is great.
And I saw something this week. I don't know if you saw it as well, that the Scottish Cup final for the women's is going to be at Hampden this season. So that's good. That's good as well for the game.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And hopefully, whenever the final is, we've got a big crowd for that. If it's anything like the Scotland games that I've had at Hampden, they should get decent crowds for that. But it's just great to see the women's game getting highlighted. You know, we've done it numerous times. We've highlighted that, and I think it's great that it does get more airtime. So it's fantastic to see it back.
Yeah, and we'll try and get Maureen McGonagall on the show as well in a few weeks from Women in Sport as well, and that's good. I think it's just came to life again because of, as you say, England did so well in the football, and I'm sure I heard on the news, Graham, maybe I'm making this up, but well, maybe I am, but I'm sure they said that because England won the Euros, all the home nations get some money for that.
Well, if I haven't read that, but if that's the case, then that's fantastic. Anything that can help women's game grow would be brilliant. So hopefully, I haven't seen it, but hopefully that is the case.
And I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. And I do hope you've been watching the Commonwealth games this week, Graham, because last week when I said to Josh about the Commonwealth games, he says, "Oh, I don't watch it." So I gave him a nice build-up, Graham, and it basically came back to bite me. So I'm hoping that Mr. Duffy has been watching the Commonwealth games this week. I think you have, Graham.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on, and I think I have to start with Eilish McColgan. I mean, what an achievement!
Yeah,
31-year-old. This is her fourth games. I just finished 6 every time, and then the last couple of days, the 10th metre, she won gold, and her mum won it in 1986 and 1990. So it's fantastic to see Eilish McColgan win that. She was brilliant. At one point, I didn't think she was going to make it, but she managed to win. And I think she had spoken about the fact that she was worried about the Kenyans, but she breezed past them. Fantastic to see. I'm so pleased for her. She's a fantastic athlete. And I think as well, one of the biggest things for me as well at the games that I saw earlier is the fact that George Miller is one of the oldest Commonwealth Games gold medalists in history. He's 75 years old, and he's won a gold in the lawn bowls mixed pairs final. Scotland beat Wales 16-9. So absolutely fantastic. There's been so much going on. Scotland have actually had a really good run so far. They've won eight goals, 8 silver, and 19 bronze. So they've got 35 in total, which is absolutely brilliant.
And we could win some more medals tonight. I think in the boxing as well.
Yeah, here's hoping, fingers crossed. It's been great to see, and you spoke about this numerous times, but to see fans back at these events is brilliant. And hopefully Scotland can get a few more. I know it finishes on Monday, so hopefully over the weekend we'll have a few more. I know Sammy Kinghorn won bronze in the 1500 on the track, and I think as well Mickey Yule, he got bronze. Yeah, the powerlifting final. Yeah. So I think, listen, Scotland have been absolutely fantastic so far, but listen, nobody can beat the Australians, unfortunately, because they've won 50 gold, 42 silver, and 41 bronze. So the Australians are ripping it up a little bit, to be honest.
You always watch these Commonwealth Games and Olympics, and you always watch a sport, and you say, "That's my new sport." So do you want me to tell you my new sport? I give it away early on, by the way, if you were listening to me, Graham. I knew you weren't listening to me. So
I always listen to you.
Hockey.
I was never a very good hockey player. I didn't mind it, but I was never very good at it. But again, like you say, it's great to see that. How are Scotland doing in that?
They actually got beat out of the men's and the women's. So both of the men and the women's never actually qualified out the section. I think it's going to come down to Australia and New Zealand.
These Aussies are winning everything just now.
I know,
but they are very good athletes. And I think as well, Laura Muir, she qualifies for the Sunday women's 1500 metres final as well. So that potential another gold medal as well. So I think, to be fair, Scotland have done very well at this tournament so far. And hopefully, as I said, by Monday, the total's gone up. And there's no reason why it shouldn't.
I still can't get my head around that it finishes on Monday. It's a bit of a weird day to finish a competition. Usually it's a Friday or Sunday, but never Monday. It's a bit kind of weird, but I've really enjoyed the Commonwealth Games this time. I think it's a wee bit different as well, because you've got Team Scotland, Team England, whereas in the Olympic Games you just have Team GB.
Yeah, see, I prefer it as Team Scotland, Team England, Team Wales. I don't really like the Team G. I don't really like the Team GB. It just doesn't do it for me. I would rather see like Scotland. And you're right. I think I expected it to finish on a Sunday. You have the closing ceremony on a Sunday, and it's all done. To have it on Monday is a little bit strange, but listen, it is what it is. But I just think Scotland have done very, very well. I didn't know how well they would do, but to see so many medals coming back for Scotland so far is absolutely fantastic. And as I say, hopefully by close of play Monday, there'll be even more on that podium. But I'm just really pleased for Eilish McColgan, because I know how much it meant to her. She's 31, her fourth Olympics and our fourth Commonwealth Games, and she's finally won gold. So I'm just so pleased for her. And to see her mum coming on the track and just being so proud, it's brilliant to see. It really is. It must be great as a parent to see your child doing that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then when we're on Sunday, Graham, the Commonwealth Games are on, so we'll bring you up to speak on that as well. So it's been a busy old time for sport, the Commonwealth Game. Neil Fatshey, I've got to say well done to him early on. Duncan Scott, he's actually did well in the pool for Scotland as well. And believe it or not, I did see Scotland playing volleyball They beat volleyball, but they were getting beat. Anyway, so thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks to Barry Anderson. Thanks to Reagan. Thanks to Graham. We'll do it all again on Sunday at our new time between 3 and 5. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.